Welcome to the Squad Show. I'm Sam Ekstrom. In the words of Vin Scully, the impossible has happened. Vikings win.
I'm Luke Braun of Locked On Vikings. It can certainly get worse than that.
What's happening? Luke Inman at Luke_Spinman. I'm not superstitious, but Anthony Barr should definitely blow the Gallahorn every week, even on the road.
As Adam Amin says, the Yaller horn. What?
Yaller horn. Hi, my name is Arif Hasan from WideLeft.Football. I have here in my hand a list of 205 members of Vikings Twitter that were known to Vikings Twitter as being members of the anti-McCarthyites who nevertheless are still working and shaping the policy of Vikings Twitter.
Skol! It's the Viking Squad. Everything Minnesota Vikings every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the land of 10,000 lakes, the way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. It's time to gear up. The Viking Squad Show starts now.
Yaller horn.
What's up? Welcome in. Blow your Yaller horns. The Vikings win, and we're here on the Viking Squad Show to talk about it for the next hour. You met the Lukes, you met Arif, and I'm Sam Ekstrom. We're streaming on Locked On Vikings. Audio is available on the Locked On Vikings podcast feed wherever you get your podcasts. It's all part of the #1 sports podcast network, the Locked On Podcast Network. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Make sure to get your live bets in when you're in the middle of the action this season. FanDuel.com. Again, place those NFL live bets. Before the show is done, we will tell you how this defense is hitting its groove, how JJ McCarthy eliminated the negative plays and looked really good in Week 14 against the Commanders. Plus, are we concerned at all about draft position slipping away, or are the positive results outweighing all of that discussion? Plus, a bevy of nerdy stats from yesterday's performance, a cadre of nerdy stats. How did JJ McCarthy avoid the negativity, avoid the bad plays? How did KOC put him in the right positions? That's the question we're asking today, because 16 of 23, 3 touchdowns, no picks. His first interception-free game.
Oh,
applause!
Don't say it like
Sound
that.
the alarms.
That's
applause for.
I think
feels like
the answer is they
praise
concussed the
him.
exact right part of his brain.
Yes, that's clearly what happened.
Yeah.
Strategic.
Same thing happened to Cam Dantzler. This is known technology.
Here's one observation. McCarthy's ADOT. I love saying ADOT. There are 2 stats that I love the most. I love in baseball. I love BABIP. Luke Inman, Twins postcast. You love a good BABIP.
Big Babbitt guy. Yep.
I like the BABIP.
And
I like the ADOT.
Yeah.
And McCarthy had a 4-game stretch where the ADOT was 10 or more yards downfield. Hyper aggressive. I've tallied his completion percentage on throws 30 plus yards downfield. Want to guess what it is? This is like
25%.
Bonus.
It's got to be horrible, yeah.
You are way too high.
Yeah, 18.
7%. No, 9%.
Oh,
It's got to be 9.
It's got to be 9.
for the bit. A lot of pressure.
7% is correct.
Oh, I should have stuck
7%.
with
You
7.
had it.
One of
You had
14,
it. You overthought it, much like the Vikings subbing it. Never mind.
1 of 14, 5 interceptions on throws 30 plus yards downfield. His ADOT only 7.5 yesterday. Shortened it up. A little more quick game. That we've been calling for it forever. I think they're finally implementing it, Luke Inman. The quick game was effective and successful.
It's like KOC went from the Madden play sheet down to the NES Tecmo Bowl play sheet, but it worked. Like, that's what we needed. He went from a home run hitter like, Miguel Sano, another baseball reference here, Sam, to Luis Ariz. Singles and doubles. That's what we're going to do today. It was a lot of early down rhythm throws, right? Quick outs, pivots, shallow crossers, instead of the long developing stuff that we've came on here for, it feels like almost 2 months, and just said, bang the table, like, stop, like, no more of these long developing 7-step drops. It was a lot of, let's remove the indecision from our quarterback and just give them these easy read options. And also there's a lot of different layers to it as well that we touched on the post-game show yesterday. The offensive line kept him clean. He got all 5 starting offensive linemen back. I think he was pressured under 22% of his dropbacks. I think that's the lowest since, I want to say, week 3. Only 1 quarterback hit in the first half. All those things, including the run game as well, helps when you have a run game, an efficient run game. I want to say 55% success rate. I think, Braun, you called that out yesterday in the postgame show. All those things, though, it wasn't just one thing. They all added up to just, it felt like we were watching JJ just kind of finally play on schedule, which, was probably the number one antidote to the negative plays that we talked about a lot yesterday.
Yeah, we got to hear from Arif, who wasn't on yesterday's postgame show. Now, you were tweeting during the game, and I could not tell.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell your tone. Were you trolling or were you serious?
You were inscrutably.
The
bits are so
pick
thick.
Apart
the bits have gassed
the fog of war
over intention and tone. No, I don't know kind of which tweets you're referring to, but the ones that drew kind of the most combativeness, I think I was having a little bit of fun. I wouldn't even call it necessarily trolling. Like noticing that McCarthy's back leg was just kind of doing whatever on whatever play, and it was kind of different every single time, is funny. Like it doesn't have to be a criticism, especially when he's like completing passes, right? I do think that is an area to kind of keep track of. And of course, leg whip is not the problem. It's a proxy. It's a way to suggest that there's a problem, right? But like the throw to what was it, Oliver up the seam, or was it Hawkins?
Oliver touchdown.
Oliver touchdown where it just kicked forward. It didn't even whip out like it normally does.
Yeah, that was
three words.
Crazy...
3 words for you.
Look, I have no idea what his leg was.
Scotty
doing, right?
Scheffler's golf swing.
Sure, right. No,
that's 4 words.
Fine. But
4
like, that was,
and that's your nerdy stat of the day.
There you go. But I was just like, that's interesting. That's something that I keep track of. But like, I don't know, man. Like a lot of it was just like the throw to Jefferson. People were like, that's on Jefferson. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like that can be on neither of them, or it can be on McCarthy, but it certainly isn't on Jefferson. The one in the end zone.
The one that could have been picked. Yeah.
It
was like falling away. He left that inside. Yeah. People are being really weird about that throw.
Yeah, I don't know why. They're like, well, he was getting hit as he threw it. And it's like, well, he didn't get hit until after he threw it, first of all. But like, second, that feels like his fault, right? Like, I feel like he induced that. Either way, we're nitpicking here, right? But we're talking about the tweets that we're talking about like the tweets that caused kind of the most consternation among the Vikings fan base. So this is not my true thoughts on McCarthy's game, but rather a select number of thoughts that have caught fire with a certain segment of the fan population, right? So I don't know. I don't know which tweets you're referring to, Sam. I was having a lot of fun talking about how kind of silly the mechanic stuff was. I will say, in response to this question about like a quick game, I'm sure Luke Braun has a different opinion than me. I don't know that the play design, like I know there was like fewer double moves, right? But I don't know that the play design was necessarily that much quicker, so much as McCarthy was just making a decision quicker. Like I feel like I feel like we are overemphasizing that in this, that like, I mean, because he's not throwing a lot of slants, right? I just feel like, yeah, obviously the ADOT was lower, but I just feel like there were fewer deep throws and fewer deep shots available than there were a lot of quick game elements, if that makes sense.
Yeah, quick game means a different thing. It is I think it feels like quick game because plays don't take 10 seconds like they used to. Yeah. Because of fewer double moves and fewer of these like all-time shot plays, go for it all kind of stuff that O'Connell would call like constantly. I do think, I don't know if anybody's charting this, but I do think they took a lot of the window dressing off of the drop back itself. They still did a lot of like pre-snap motioning and stuff, but the operation was clean, so they had time to, which is important. But I didn't I saw a lot less set your feet and your eyes to like pump fake another thing and then turn all the way over and then do something else. And just physically executing that is so difficult, especially when you're like also thinking about your mechanics on the throw. So like I think the conclusion on this one has to be, well, they told him to stop worrying about his mechanics and that worked. And yeah, he clearly stopped worrying about
that. Very obviously. I'm also wondering if they were like, if they told him to like just pick a side and stick to it, because like some of his worst throws are when he moves off his first read and then decides his outlet is on the other half of the field, right? And he's crossing the midline.
Also got a touchdown that way.
I mean, yeah, that was the underneath
the second
Oliver
to
touchdown.
Josh Oliver, yeah. That was, I think, the third read or fourth, depending on, you're reading like two crossers at the same time.
Right, yeah. Which like the read for that, it is different, but
it's not mesh, but yeah.
But I feel like sometimes some of his worst throws have been some of his worst looking easy, what should be easy throws because they're short, have been because he has crossed the midline with his eyes and he has to completely reset his feet. And I feel like sometimes they were just like, hey, there is an outlet on the side you're looking at, so pick that one. I don't know.
Yeah, obviously a huge improvement for JJ McCarthy. Didn't have any turnover-worthy plays, didn't have any interceptions, kept it. He was in control. And I know Arif's maybe tweeting a little tongue-in-cheek. I didn't feel like I thought about his mechanics one time. Because when you're having success, there's just not scrutiny on stuff like that. I don't know if this
different strokes for different folks, Sam.
Yeah, it's just we're used to his hips going over too much, but I honestly thought everything else about it, like he didn't lose control of his feet like he would in the Ravens game, is the one that comes to mind, where they were totally disconnected. His left foot would be behind him, his right foot would be ahead of him. They wouldn't be lined up the way he wants. He's heel clicking and it's like super out of control. I thought it was under quite a bit more control, which when you're throwing faster, that helps too, because you're taking less steps and that's less opportunities to get out of alignment. But the actual throwing motion itself, yeah, that is going to be kind of what it always was. But I think what we're learning is, okay, that is going to lead you to a handful of misses, but whatever was happening before was leading to way more misses. And it's a bummer that we have to be functionally eliminated from playoff contention before we figured that out. But at least we got there for something, and that I think that matters a lot for like setting up the tone of the offseason training.
Yeah, Inman, are you going to be okay if the draft position balloons from 10 to 18? Are you going to be good with that in light of JJ McCarthy turning a corner? Would you
18,
take the good with the bad there?
Yeah, honestly, I mean, jokes aside, the development of your quarterback at this point is worth the 2 draft slots every week, right? Like that's what we're talking about right now. Like, it felt like it had been so long since we'd seen just a normal, clean game from JJ. Sometimes it's like, Sam, we're on the golf course. We can't make a 4-foot putt. You just need to see the ball go in the cup once in a while. We finally got that from JJ, it felt like. That is worth drafting from, instead of 11 to 17 or 18, wherever they end up. So, yeah, I think at this point, undoubtedly, for sure, the development of JJ McCarthy, the quarterback situation is by far more important than 6, 7, 8 draft slots at the end of the year.
I was looking at Bryce Young's final 10 games last year. He had a 10-game stretch after his benching for Andy Dalton. I would take this 62% passing, 210 yards per game, 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. Got like a touchdown every other game with his legs. I would take a Bryce Young finish to this season for JJ McCarthy. Doesn't have to be 3 TDs, no picks. But I would also like to see maybe one game where JJ has a little volume and continues to be efficient, right? Like when he had volume against the Ravens, it was hideous when he had to throw, I think, 42 times in that game. I would like to see one volume game where maybe he has to win a shootout. That'd be nice. That'd be cool.
Yeah, his best game of his life so far is 160 passing yards.
Didn't he have like today, like Sunday?
Yeah, the 160-yard game is his best game.
Is his best game? Yeah, correct. Okay,
I do want to mention with the draft position in this particular case, it did not cost the Vikings any draft position because
they're 11th to 11th.
Yeah, the Falcons and
perfect.
Bengals also both lost, and the Vikings don't have the tiebreaker for draft position on them.
Yeah,
And
it does
realistically,
lock the Vikings out more and more of higher, or I guess lower.
Yeah, like they can't. Yeah, the big there's a big giant glut at 3-10, and I think it's obvious they were never going to catch those guys.
They were never going to be in that top 5, top 6 for sure. Anyways, which is you start to get into the draft prospects, and it's like, okay, where's the blue chip? Okay, there's 4, 5, 6 blue chip guys, and I don't think they were ever going to. Unless they pretty much lost out. Even then, I don't think so. But they were never going to get in that top 5, top 6. And also, too, I mean, we're talking about the quarterback, how important the development of JJ is for losing a couple draft slots every week. How about just the culture? I feel like this locker room
that's actually
needed a win, and that is hard to put on paper when we're talking about the numbers and analytics and what each draft slot is worth, right? But like, there is a certain point, though, too. I mean, almost every beat reporter that, I followed or read up on, they were all unanimous. Like, this locker room needed a win like this. You can't tank your way, to the leadership or belief for 2026.
Yeah, that's kind of my take on this, is that, like, the development of the quarterback is important, and maybe that can happen in a win or a loss or whatever, right? But I think the culture element is really important, because, like, it was like a couple of days ago when people were publishing articles that were like, hey, isn't it kind of weird that Justin Jefferson hasn't completely blown his lid? And like,
yes.
There was a couple, and it was like reasonable articles, right? It was like a couple of days ago, right? So it just feels so fundamentally, like, within that framework, feels so fundamentally obvious that, like, you got to get some wins, right? Because if the whole point of, like, a better draft position is to acquire more talent, what better way to suck away talent than to have a bunch of players demand trades and or warn their friends away from signing here in free agency, right? Like, it just feels like, and obviously, unless you're the Philadelphia Eagles, which apparently it's impacting them too, a poisonous locker room is also just mean you're just going to play worse, right?
It's definitely affecting the Eagles, I would say.
Yeah, this year it is. Last year, I mean, they, but
well, that went okay,
yeah, but yeah, like, it just feels like, in addition to, like, the whole point is talent acquisition, in addition to all of that, you also just want to maximize the players that you have going forward. And you just, like, end a year on a sour note, and then the team is going to essentially tell the players, like, yeah, that quarterback that, like, really screwed things up that you kind of maybe hate, he's back. He has to be. So
number one cafeteria in the NFL, though. Number one nutrition.
Number one cafeteria.
Smoothie bar.
Fixed
Daniel
Jones. Smoothie bar. Fantastic. Cryotherapy.
Who's leaving that?
Rip Daniel Jones. Did you hear that the NFL wants to kibosh the surveys? Because, like, the owners,
they do.
No.
Yeah, the ones that say this.
Sam, they say that every year.
Yeah.
Sam, they say that every year, that it violates the CBA, that they want to take the NFLPA to court about. They say this every year because ultimately it does not behoove the NFL for players to have information about their working conditions like it would in, I don't know, maybe any other workplace. Just kind of putting that out there.
Hey, I think that'd be best case scenario for the Vikings, because they could go out on top. So it's like the last 3 members. Like, wait a minute, I don't have anything to go off of, but let me just go out. What, 2-3 years ago, who was on top? Oh, the Vikings.
Vikings can go real cheap now on the cafeteria.
Right.
Now they've established the A+, but if it's not public anymore, I think
I do want to say one thing on, like, the draft position thing. Like, you all know me that I will never really care that much, but I think the value of this has to come in. Like, what happens with JJ McCarthy this offseason is crucial, and we basically won't get to know much about it at all. There's not going to be a lot of reporters around there. There's not going to. We're just
they're going to tell us, and we're going to have to trust it.
Yeah, they're going to say he had a great summer, and, like, we're just going to have to go with that until we actually see him on the field, right? But it's crucial what happens with McCarthy this offseason, how much progress he makes on his mechanics, and how much more he builds into a real boy at quarterback instead of whatever the hell we've been watching for the last month and a half. And that work gets so much easier when you have a game you can fall back on and be like, hey, remember that Commanders game? Hey, you had a bad day at practice. Let's just go back to what you were doing at that Commanders game. Let's realign to that. You have something to kind of fall back on, like a point you can tether to. I think that helps you not only come up with a plan for what you want the offense to be. Oh, okay. Hey, maybe he can be a shorter quarterback that gets the ball out a little quicker. Maybe asking him to be this deep ball reader is terrible and he holds the ball for 3.5 seconds. Maybe we can make him like, it gives you some sense of a direction. And that to me is way more important than 4 slots in the draft and the guy you want is going to fall to you anyways.
2 reactions to that.
Let's pause and then get Arif's reactions.
Sure.
I think that's a good setup. We're also going to get into nerdy stats, and I'll tell you when the last time the Vikings had a home shutout was. All of that coming up. Brought to you today by Aura Frames. The holidays are here, which means gift hunting season is on. And if you want something meaningful, personal, guaranteed to get a good reaction, it's Aura Frames. I got my father an Aura frame a couple of years ago. He loves it, gets to see pics of the grandkids and his son occasionally on the frame. He's down in Arizona. And it's not your average picture frame. You can preload the frame with photos before you gift it. So it's not like they get this blank frame that just sits empty. They plug it in and the memories are right there. No setup headaches, just instant smiles. Good gift for newlyweds, for your parents, for your grandparents, anyone who loves photos that will rotate across the screen. Also 30-second videos you can put up on the Aura app. That's a huge win. Check it out. Limited time save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver mat frames, named #1 by Wirecutter, by using promo code LOCKEDON at checkout. That's auraframes.com, promo code LOCKEDON. This deal is exclusive to listeners and frames sell out fast, so order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Back on the Vikings Squad Show, make sure to check out Luke Braun on Locked On Vikings all week long leading up to the Cowboys game on Sunday night. Arif Hasan was about to have a reaction.
He's about to debate me so hard.
Well, not really. One of the reactions was positive, right? One of them was like, hey, that reminds me, not that the conclusion of this was great. That reminds me of when Mike McDaniel sat down with Tua Tagovailoa and was like, hey, you know that mean old bully? We don't have to name him. You know that mean old bully who coached you before, said you sucked, said you weren't worth anything? Well, I put together a highlight reel of all of your best plays. And this is who you are, and this is how I know you can play and who you can be. And Tua has said multiple times that interaction has emboldened him so much, has been a big part of his confidence building, has allowed him to believe in himself again so that he has the ability to operate within the Mike McDaniel offense. Now, that story hits a lot harder, like right after the 70-point game they had against the Broncos and not like now, but multiple like concussions ago, it was great, right? So that's my first reaction. My second reaction is you better have more than the Commanders game, because like week 3, you're like, hey, do you remember the Commanders game? Yeah, that's going to get kind of like,
yeah. Step one.
By the time you play
two good games in a row. Let's just get two good games in a row. Because that hasn't happened yet.
Imagine sitting T-Jack down and be like, remember that Cardinals game, man?
I'm talking about conversations you'll have in like April with your QB trainer that
the
Vikings aren't allowed to talk to you during.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, so I think that's helpful. Hopefully there are like more games, especially because I do want to talk about the Washington defense, although I know that the show has like a schedule and like bits and stuff that they want to get to.
Yeah, no, we'll get into it.
It is funny. Nobody cares that this is a crappy defense. And it's like he did anything. Like, oh my God, he put 2 feet in front of the other. Like he took 2 steps,
but I mean, like,
and chewed gum at the same time.
But he did do that, which is great.
He did do that, and everybody's like, we're all very excited about it, and nobody cares that it's up against a defense.
You made a 3-foot putt,
playing like half of its twos.
Yeah, man, not everybody.
A team having a worse year than the Vikings does exist. Feels good. A team that had higher expectations than the Vikings and is having a worse year does exist.
That is true.
There was a guy in live chat yesterday on the post-game show that was like super, super negative, which is fine. But he was justifying it by being like, what do you mean? They're 5-8. This is the worst. What do you mean? Like, they're 5-8? Do you realize how much worse it could get than 5-8? I can think of 5 different ways it could get worse than 5-8.
Okay, 5 different ways. But like, Luke, you also did put together a documentary about the Vikings, which revealed that they kind of don't lose, right? Like, as a Vikings fan, you are not used to having you don't have.
Yeah, no, Vikings fans are really spoiled.
Yeah, in a weird way. Yes.
Yeah.
Let's do nerdy.
Analytics fans rejoice.
Woo-hoo-hoo!
It's time to get educated.
Whoa, you're blowing my mind right now.
With the nerdy stat of the day.
Thank goodness for Pro Football Reference. I'm at October 10th, 1993. I was 1. This was the last time the Vikings had a shutout at home. They shut out the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with those swashbuckling
rivals,
red logos. 15-0 the score. There was a safety in the game. The quarterback for the Vikings was Jim McMahon. Craig Erickson for the Bucs threw 4 interceptions. And the Vikings got a touchdown from Barry Word, everybody's favorite. A 1-yard plunge by Barry Word, the lone touchdown in the game. Vikings win 15-0, 32 years ago. Their last home shutout. Couldn't believe that. Now the 3, can you name the 3? Can you name at least 2 of the 3 in between? There were 3 in between home shutouts. Can you name them? I doubt you'll name one.
Wait,
it was on the broadcast.
Wait, not home? You're saying?
So there were 3 road shutouts.
Those road shutouts. Sure. Yeah. There's well, I can definitely name one.
Well, the
Brett
Raiders
Hundley,
one,
2017, right? Lambeau.
Oh,
Correct.
With the Raiders game was a shutout.
Oh yeah, and then the
Luke Braun was there.
Game. Right? Yeah, I was at that one, and I forgot.
No one scored points except accidentally once.
Nick Mullins got a field goal. That was the only.
He kicked it himself.
Okay, so
that was
Raiders,
a lot of fun. Being peppered with like Raiders fans, and everyone by the end of that game was like, I don't know. we were all in that one together.
Give me a time frame. Give me an era.
You'll never get it. I'm just going to tell you. It was later in the 1993 season, and it was 13-0 against the Lions, where the Vikings had 2 Fuad Revez field goals.
Should have just said Lions out of
and just
had to be a
wild stab.
Yeah.
Lamar McGriggs had a pick six in the game.
That's not real.
That's made up. You're going to come on this live stream and you're going to make stuff up.
You're saying they grabbed a refugee from the Irish potato famine and put him into a 1993 NFL game.
Was this the replacement player season?
They were still very much hurting from the Herschel Walker trade in that year. So kind of.
So yeah, they did grab Marmon.
There were no draft
clearly carrying them. I also have this. Vikings had 25 first downs yesterday, which is really good.
Jesus.
It's only happened 10 times in the KOC era, and they had
Didn't they have many first downs with like 8 drives? That's crazy.
Yeah. 7 drives.
Excellent.
And they scored on 5 of them and kneeled down on 2 of them.
Yeah, 1 punt. They also had 10 rushing first downs, which has only been accomplished 7 times in the KOC era. Can run the ball across that yellow line.
How about the last 19-play drive? When's the last time we've had a 19-play?
Oh, the 12-minute, the longest
drive? 12-minute.
Yeah.
There was a 19-play drive I remember in 2019, the Alexander Madison versus Adrian Peterson Thursday nighter. Oh. They pulled a 19-play drive, and they may not have scored a touchdown on it.
Yeah, okay.
That sounds right. That sounds correct.
I'm on it. I'm on Drive Finder. You guys do more nerdy stats, and I'll find it.
It sounds like it was the longest drive by game clock for the Vikings since the year 2000.
By any team in the last, at least this year, maybe a couple years.
Yeah, and like any team in the last 3 or 4 years, I think is what the broadcast said. But by the Vikings since like 2000.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, okay. So heading into the game, the Commanders had switched defensive play caller from Joe Witt Jr. to Dan Quinn. And one thing that you'd note in the games Dan Quinn is the play caller, there were only 2 heading into this game, is that under Joe Witt, every coverage that you can think of, cover 1, cover 2, cover 3, cover 4, cover 6, zone man, whatever, league average blitz rate, they were just doing stuff, right? And under Dan Quinn, the last 2 games, they played zone coverage at the highest rate in the league, blitzed at the lowest rate in the league, had the highest rate of cover 2 in the league. And so what happens when you enter this game? Drew Brees notices that every single snap that they had played up until that point was zone coverage, which I believe the second Josh Oliver touchdown was man coverage. So it must have been, he must have said that before that. But I looked at all of the plays where win probability was between 5% and 95% for either team. So 95% for the Vikings. And first of all, McCarthy only had 13 dropbacks in that scenario. The Vikings got into garbage time fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But second, 100% zone coverage rate before you got to garbage time. Fourth quarter had man coverage. I can give them that. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
What are you doing, Commanders?
Yeah.
I understand you have the second oldest defense in the league after the Vikings. And so maybe this athleticism problem is leading to a high zone coverage rate, but like that's insane. And that allows you to let a rookie, or not a rookie, first year player who had to be told to just stop caring about all the other stuff and read the field. That guy carved you the F up. And I think it's because you ran zone coverage on every single play and the Vikings just called seams, right? Like it.
Yeah. The Vikings have struggled a lot versus man this year, which is surprising considering who they have on the outside. But obviously that's been enough to disrupt timing and kind of highlight all the other issues and like really shine a spotlight on all the dirty secrets of the Vikings offense. And yeah, this game was one of the better games that we have seen in the Kevin O'Connell era. It's the 5th best by EPA per dropback from McCarthy in the Kevin O'Connell era. It's the 2nd best in the last 2 years. The only better game from Sam Darnold's season was the 42-21 win against the Falcons.
Yeah, week 14.
At 0.4 EPA per dropback, or I've seen 0.39 other places if you want to round it different. Only outdone by a couple of Kirk Cousins games, only outdone by one Sam Darnold game. It was a good one. He did it.
Yeah, total EPA per play for the whole offense. 3rd best since 2023. One Kirk Cousins game, the week 8 against the Packers, which, I mean, that game was crazy in 2023. And then week 14, Sam Darnold against the Falcons, which had, on offense, 0.61. So I guess the running EPA was better than the dropback EPA. Always love to see that.
How about defense? Washington put up the worst offensive EPA of any Vikings opponent this season. I haven't double checked this yet, but maybe the best single game mark of the Flores era since he's been here as well. Now, immediately I think back to, again, like there's a few games where the defense is balled out, and so I'm gonna have to triple check that. But
I would have to imagine the Bengals, despite giving up 10 points,
right away, I thought Bengals for sure.
EPA per play.
JJ McCarthy, 2.47 seconds time to throw, quickest of the year, and 39% blitz rate for Flores. So a little bit less than what we're used to, but obviously still highly efficient. Didn't really need to blitz as much. So really good game for the defense. As much as we're talking about the offense and handing out some flowers, defense just balled out yesterday.
Yeah, we'll get into how the defense has really hit a groove here. I also checked the drive finder. I don't think it's updated from yesterday because it's not showing yesterday, but in the quarter century that is available for tracking, they have 2 drives of 19 plays. Both ended in field goals. So that's the longest drive play-wise to result in a touchdown in recorded history.
So
I do have those EPA numbers for you, Luke, and there is so that is the 4th worst EPA per dropback against the Vikings in the Flores era. So since 2023, Jaden Daniels had the 4th worst game. The 3 quarterbacks above him, of course, the top is Jake Browning. You're never going to beat that. The second one is Aiden O'Connell. The third one you'll never guess in your life. It's the week 2 Michael Penix game where they blew us out 22-6.
Wow.
Sorry, what?
Wow.
Had an EPA per dropback of negative 0.48.
That's number 2?
We were just distracted. That's number 3.
Okay.
Number 4 is Jaden Daniels.
Top 3
this
though.
week.
Wow.
Of the total defensive EPA per play, so looking at quarterbacks and running backs and all that, it is
just looked at quarterbacks there.
Yeah, it is the second best Vikings defensive performance of the year, right? Obviously, besides the Bengals. But unfortunately, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 6th best defensive performance of any defense in a Vikings game this year. With the Vikings' performance against the Seahawks as the second worst offense, or the Seahawks as the second best defense this year, followed by the Vikings against the Bengals. So,
defense wins championships, huh?
Yeah. They got more
points per drive, league average 1.8. Points per drive, league average is 1.8. And I had to triple check my math here, but Commanders 0.00 points per drive.
Good at this, dude.
Wow. Dude, I'm like Matt Damon on the whiteboard at Harvard, right?
Oh my God.
I will say I was a little bit worried, just slightly worried, right? When the defense basically screwed up on the first drive and they were a drop away, from giving up a touchdown on the first drive. And it turns out that was their worst drive. By success rate, they gave up first of all, the success rate was way lower than I thought it was, like 55% on that drive.
There's a lot of third downs. Third down, maybe a fourth down mixed in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
They got 2 fourth downs. One was the drop, and the other one went a lot worse.
Yeah. So I just kind of expected it, but there was like a 55% success rate for the defense. And then the Commanders never reached those heights again.
Yeah, they only had 2 drives that even crossed midfield. And obviously, both those ended on negative plays.
Their special teams were way more incompetent than the Vikings. What a boon.
They had many more punts. So in volume, yes.
Well, yeah, but also they just kind of let Riker just kick 20-yard touchbacks, which should not happen. You can't let that happen.
He's gotten a couple of those lately.
Yeah, he stopped doing that for a bit. I guess probably he was working on it, and then he's re-unveiled it.
Yeah. Although it does require the returner to make a colossal mistake.
Matt Daniels thought he could avoid our scrutiny for 1 week. No way. We're going to hold your feet to the fire, Matt. Is our projection?
Guy coaching for his job, done a good job the last couple of weeks.
Hey, urgency. Speaking of urgency, defense has been showing it. How are we projecting them now into 2026? It's a little bit rosier of a projection than it was before. That's next. Brought to you today by, everyone say it with me, Game Time. The World Cup draw happened late last week.
Game Time.
Now you know the venues. Now you know that the U.S. is playing in LA. They're playing in Seattle. And you can check out those tickets at the Game Time app. Comes in clutch, gives the fans a real advantage when it comes to snagging seats for a tournament of that magnitude. I got tickets to the Women's World Cup, I think 2 World Cups ago. One of the best sports experiences of my life. I'm definitely going to check out the Game Time app, see if there's a summer trip in my future, because you can track price drops, get alerts when great seats open up, buy tickets the moment they hit the app, etc. You can also get tickets locally. Timberwolves are playing Phoenix tonight at home. Very reasonable. Lower level seats, like $70 to sit pretty close to the court.
Game time.
Put the power back in your hands. That's right, Arif. It's game time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets, like to the World Cup or any match, concert, or event in your area. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the app, make an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Game time. All right. 2 straight games for the defense. Really, really, really good. Go back to the Packers game. There's another great half thrown in there. Plenty to like of late for this defense that has been, I think, suffering from the same deal as we talked about with the offense. Very high expectations that haven't been met. They've also been fatigued because of how bad the offense has been. Time of possession's been ridiculous, league worst. Is there a way for this defense to finish the year that gives you a pretty positive feeling about their projection into 26? You look at it, I'll lay it out like this. You get back your edge in full. You get Turner, you get Gink, you get Grenard, and then you add another body. Maybe it's Batty, maybe it's Richter. You're gonna have a good rotation there. You're gonna have Allen, Redmond, LDR, Ingram, Dawkins, Taki, and then you got to make a decision on Hargrave. Don't know if he's back. But your defensive line pretty much set. At linebacker, you still have Cashman. You got to make a choice on Pace and or Wilson. Both are going to be free agents of some kind. Cornerback, Murphy and Rogers back, and you got to fill out that room. And then at safety, we're probably saying goodbye to Hitman, Metellus, Ward, Theo Jackson. How would you feel about that as your core without a lot of room to add beyond the draft going into next year? Inman, what do you think?
I was cool. Every level of the defense, D line, D tackles, like, okay, yeah, Hargrave gone next year, save the cash, whatever. Still got some good depth. Bring back Eric Wilson. You got to that safety group, man, and I was like, nails on a chalkboard. Like that. That's tough. That feels like obviously, Metellus will be back, but feels like starting from ground zero, especially knowing that Flores loves to play with these three safety looks. Maybe Jay Ward's in the mix. Is he? He's not a free agent next year. He wasn't the Ivan Pace class, was he?
He is not a free agent. I think I checked on this. He's got
Jay Ward maybe playing a little bit more next year, but yeah, I think just in general, what's the common denominator here? Brian Flores. If I got Brian Flores, I feel better than most teams' defenses going into next year for sure. At least with that core, especially up front in that front seven. I think this is what this is what complementary football looks like, right? No turnovers from the quarterback or the offense. You mentioned the time on the field that they've had. Also the amount of times this defense has had to defend short fields as well, which also comes with turnovers. So this is what it looks like. I feel like when you get to play with even just a little bit of a lead, Brian Flores looks like he's allowed to dictate the game at that point rather than just trying to survive a little bit. And I think if JJ can play point guard ball a little bit consistently next year, this is definitely more of the version of this defense we expected this year. But also, yeah, there's going to have to be some fine tuning as far as free agency and the draft goes. But I think it can still be a maybe not elite top 2, top 5 defense, but still upper half of the league, if not dominant in certain areas and probably top 10 in certain categories as well.
If only they had Mekhi Blackman still, like, wouldn't that just make you feel a little bit better about the cornerback situation? If they just had that body.
You have at least one more body in the room, which they've gone into the offseason so many times in the last half a decade with like 2 guys under contract and going like, well, I guess we have to acquire 10 corners this offseason.
I don't understand the totally point.
Different group of people, I think.
I do think like moving on from Blackman or trading Blackman was like not the right move, but also like if we're talking about like how set we feel about the defense for the future, I don't know that that's making me feel that much more comfortable, right? Like that's not really changing things for me. I mean, my concern is that, again, this is like the oldest defense in the league, right? Obviously, Harrison Smith's going to retire. I don't know what's going to happen up front with those expensive D tackles. I feel like they're going to find a way to move on from one of them if the contract allows them to. And yeah, I don't know, like Grenard, Van Ginkel, they're a little bit older as a pair, right? I trust Brian Flores a lot, but it feels like there's just like a lot of opportunities for this defense to fall off more than anything else. And you don't have a ton of assets to get at some of the upcoming concerning issues, right? Because like Okudah, you're probably like not bringing like, right? Like that doesn't seem right. No. So you've got Isaiah Rodgers, you've got Byron Murphy, and you've got Fabian Moreau, who I think you signed to like a reserve futures contract. Like that's the worth he has on the team. Like, I don't know, man.
He should probably be on the team for camp for once.
That would help him. Yeah, especially like as he continues to bench Isaiah Rodgers. It was like, well, in retrospect, I feel like
he just keeps taking jobs from other corners that the Vikings like He's coming for him like the Grim Reaper with all the doors.
Yeah, the doors. Yeah. But there's a lot of bodies that they have to add to that defense for me to feel comfortable with it on paper. But I also just kind of trust Flores to figure something out.
Kind of taking for granted, as Taylor points out, that Flores will be back. I think he will be.
Has the lawsuit settled?
See, that's exactly it. There's going to be a level, because isn't this going to courts where there's going to be like public discovery and testimony that could get ugly? It feels like I think I'm correct on that. It feels like a poor time to enter into a serious relationship with Brian Flores if you're an organization, knowing that could be coming.
Yeah, it looks like in August they ruled that that Brian Flores' suit can go to trial, which is a really big step, right? Because you have to figure out what's happening with arbitration and stuff like that. Like all of the people that were assigned into the class of the class action lawsuit Brian Flores filed, turns out cannot file because of the arbitration agreement that bound them but did not bind Brian Flores through a quirk of the nature of their employments. So yeah, it is a pretty big deal. But I think as that continues, and also the nature of the lawsuit is that Brian Flores did not listen to what an owner told him to do. Right? That's one of the elements of this lawsuit. That feels like a thing that these owners are not super huge fans of when they try to figure out which coach to hire. And so I feel like the existence of a lawsuit, which I feel like has to be figured out before he becomes a real head coaching candidate, and also the facts of the case make it kind of unlikely that he's going to be a head coaching candidate, even if that lawsuit stuff is figured out, because you don't want a guy that doesn't listen to you, and you don't want a guy that might sue you if you tell him something.
So assuming that Flores would be back with all that in mind, and assuming that they're going to see a decent amount of turnover, you're probably going to see hopefully a bigger role for Jalen Redmond and maybe a bigger paycheck for Jalen Redmond when it comes time to sign that.
Kick him back, please.
And, a bunch of turnover on the secondary, maybe something different at linebacker, right? You walked into this season with Ivan Pace as a starter. You probably want to do something about that. So it's going to be a pretty different group of players, especially on the back end. And what we have learned about Flores is how much his scheme changes depending on the players he has access to. We've seen that happen a bunch over the course of this year. As they've decided to do different things with Eric Wilson, things have changed. They're doing 4 D tackles on the field right now, which that's a different, because they have depth in that room. There's going to be a lot of changes. There always is with Flores' defense, which makes it really hard for me to predict how well all those things will work. And it also makes me feel like how the defense plays in these games is not wholly relevant. How Javon Hargrave does. In service of will he be a cap casualty or not, that matters. But if he is a cap casualty, it didn't matter how he played in week 15.
He is the likeliest cap casualty in my mind. I can't think.
Him and Ryan Kelly, I think, are the two likelier ones. But Ryan Kelly was a lot likelier before they decided that Blake Brandel, who couldn't snap, was better at center than Michael Jurgens, who they kind of felt like they were grooming for the role John Sullivan style. And they seem to have totally given up on that.
How about Walter Rouse just falling out of any kind of fit, being scratched every single week?
I don't know that that's a surprise, right? Someone has to not be the 6th offensive. Someone has to be not the other backup tackle.
It's wild that he's worse than Justin School.
Okay.
Yeah,
but I'll believe that he's worse than Justin School.
But it is a Kwesi draft pick, so I don't know what we were expecting.
Yeah.
That's on us. That's on us.
Yeah. I'm sure they find a way to lightly address their areas of weakness in free agency after they clear millions and millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of
dollars.
They'll
moneyball a bunch of guys. Yeah.
Find
but
some
it's still they've got
guys who are hurt right now on defense, so we can assign them
target them right now. Get their 8x10 up on the whiteboards right now in the front office.
The Asante I still like Asante Samuel Jr. I still that.
He does have an injury.
Is he gonna play ever again?
Well,
that's
Steelers,
perfect.
of course. The Steelers sign every reclamation project type. We, by the way, Arif, we did an Adam Thielen stat update yesterday. One catch for 4 yards, and you pointed it out on Twitter last night. Thielen goes with the "I found my love for football again."
Come on, man.
Answer after yesterday's game.
Was it 4?
That sounds like
it was only 4. I thought it was
you caught as
6.
many passes as Patrick Mahomes, dude.
But he found his love for football. Well, I mean,
Garrett
okay.
Bradbury had a
He's
catch
also
in one
talked
game,
about
one
how
time.
and he actually said powerful ideas. He's talked about how he's learned how he's exposed to so many powerful ideas now that he's with the Steelers. And he obviously needs Aaron Rodgers. In fact, I think he had Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. And so, like, yeah, maybe he's like rediscovered his love of football, but like maybe that has led to, losing his love for like Tylenol or whatever, right? Like
maybe that's grown for a love for maybe a future podcast with those two.
I would probably tune in.
They're going to advertise it like it's golf. We're just going to talk about golf.
And whatever else comes up. I just like the idea of Aaron Rodgers just kind of like trying to like get someone to co-sign the existence of an AI wife every couple of episodes. Just kind of like, so what do you think about these AI relationships, Adam? And Adam would be like, I don't really get them. Like Aaron's like, oh, yeah, me too. I don't really understand.
Well, I'm glad he loves football again. That sounds like a great segue into party fouls. That will be next on the Squad Show. After this, we also update you on our FanDuel bets from yesterday because we made those at FanDuel, and that is where you can play and you can bet live because that's an extremely exciting thing to do when you're reacting in real time. Place the bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment when the game starts to shift, you get your spidey sense. It starts tingling. You feel like a receiver's going to get hot. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. Live spreads, live money lines, live props, live next touchdown scores, all available at FanDuel. You got NBA going right now, NFL, of course, and bowl season in college football. Want to be right in the middle of the action? Visit FanDuel.com. FanDuel Sportsbook app. Place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. I'll just pay it off right now. We have a major shakeup in our betting contest. Absolutely gigantic week for Arif Hasan. He goes 2-0. Luke Braun, who's been treading water, 0-2, and we have a ball game. Luke Braun,
I'm in it.
$1,899. Arif Hasan, $1,618.
Striking distance.
What's my last name? I'm Braun, right? I'm doing good.
So what I said last week, Sam, you were like, you gotta swing big. And I was like, no, I don't. I just gotta keep
you just had to wait for the Vikings to win.
Yeah. a normal thing to do.
Yeah.
4 weeks left.
Well, we're spoiled. We should have knew.
Yeah. My touchdown parlay strategy has yet to work. It will eventually. Not yet.
I mean, people score touchdowns, right? It must work someday.
You need the way that I'm structuring it. I'm doing one from each team, and that's a horrible strategy when one team gets shut out 2 weeks in a row.
You need both teams to score. Yeah, that's hard to.
I need scoring. I think
parlaying the field goal kickers.
I feel like that's not going to get you as much.
Yeah,
if you do
Sam's trying to hit a $10,000 bet, right? Like
betting
you
on
gotta
kickers.
understand.
I don't know if we want to be tempting God like that.
Yeah, we're not degenerates. What do we?
We're getting pretty close to me.
It's just cosmically unwise.
Exact final score.
What were the odds on Oliver scoring 2 touchdowns? By the way,
yeah, it was out there. The universe sent it out there.
They do have a 2-touchdown tab. I'm guessing it was at plus 5,000.
So that wouldn't have been enough.
Would have been nice.
Could have put the min on that and skyrocketed right into the lead.
Inman and I are more than 10,000 in the hole each. So still life. Still life.
What was that advertisement for Dave Money, that loan? Can we get that back?
I think that's already past where I was the last 2 years, right?
So do Luke and I get the baseball bats, or will they be provided for us?
We got to figure out what the winner gets. Let's do party fouls.
It's time to tell you who spilled their proverbial drink on the sofa. Get ready for this week's party foul.
I'm not super bothered by this, but I would have liked to see it happen. I think if Isaiah Rodgers blocks Terry McLaurin instead of hurting Jaden Daniels and down on his, I think springs the gink. I think that gets him to the house.
It's not a party foul, Sam. That's a crazy. Well, first of all, because I think Jaden Daniels would have tried to make that tackle. But
I think Gink discards him.
That's true. Jaden Daniels is pretty fast. I think he.
I think one of those guys we know about Jaden Daniels. Like the one thing we knew about him entering the draft, right, was that he was fast.
But Van Ginkel saw him out of the corner of his eye. He was gonna discard him. He was gonna stiff arm him.
You're just writing fan fiction now.
Yeah.
Isaiah Rodgers saw a player and blocked him. End of story.
Got to have eyes in the back of your head. It's a party foul in my book.
Not possible, especially when there's a helmet there. I
wanted the pick six.
I don't think it was happening. He had 2-4-4 guys running after him.
I still have nightmares about Van Ginkel dropping the pick six against Detroit last year, week 18. I still think about that. Beginning of the end.
We for sure would have won the next week.
Easily. Well, they wouldn't know. They wouldn't have played. They wouldn't have played the next week.
And then the week after that,
the Commanders would have been this game. We would have shut them out.
Because that's how that
party
works.
fouls. Adam Thielen for reasons that we already said. Travis Kelce for making Patrick Mahomes look somehow even worse, like catastrophically worse. Actually,
that was crazy.
It was brutally bad. And then Bama shouldn't have been in the playoff. That's my take.
Yeah.
I was also going to go to college football. I'm going to give it to Jaden Fielding, Ohio State kicker, Blair Walsh in it with everything on the line for
7 yards.
One of the better college football teams we've seen in a while now has to not even have their conference title.
It does not matter. Ohio State will win the championship. This guarantees, in fact, that they will win the championship.
Indiana? We don't believe in Kurt Signetti?
Well, they might not. We don't know if they'll meet again, but this is what Ohio State does. Like their last two titles have been after they lost a game late. And
if we know one thing about football, it's that whatever happened before will happen again.
Exactly. I'm glad you see it my way.
Yeah, no, I see it, Sam.
The number 1 seed, former Duke head coach, the number 12 seed, the Dukes. God, I'm so happy.
The former Signetti coached Dukes and NDSU. NDSU. This is the anti-party.
Yeah, NDSU lost in the second round. Losers
lost to a team that threw 5 picks.
Losers can't even make it in the JV playoffs, and now we got their rivals in the big boy real playoffs. No offense to like Montana State, etc. You guys rule, but come on, NDSU. Afraid to move up, and this is what you get. Cowards.
Inman.
We brought up the that gruesome Zach Ertz injury yesterday. That was brutal. Party foul on non-contact injuries. Daniel Jones. I didn't see the play. Sounds like there was nothing to see, anyways.
No, it was like when Kirk tore his Achilles. And they knew immediately. He slams his helmet on the ground. Like they diagnosed that thing on the field before they even walked him off.
He grabbed his knee, then he grabbed his calf, and then he grabbed his ankle. Very clearly, we know exactly what happened there.
We're good. We're good. Hey, Doc,
brutal.
Stay over there. We're good.
He was in line for so much money, man.
Yeah. Oh God.
Now what? Now it's Riley Leonard, I believe. Unless they want to activate Anthony Richardson at some point.
And Anthony Richardson with an eye patch.
With an eye patch, correct.
Well, now that Jones has an injury, now he will be
like Anthony Richardson's like an orbital fracture. Is that right?
Yeah, but that was like back in week 3, 4. I don't know the time.
Apparently, there is still no timetable for his return on that. I don't know if he's going to see again. That could be really
again
like
non-contact
an orbital fracture
injury.
and an eye injury that bad could screw with your vision
Orlando
forever.
Brown Sr. came back from that, right? Don't worry about it.
Oh wow.
You remember what happened with that?
Yeah.
The official threw a flag into his eye. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
he flipped out and grabbed the dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we go, letter grade on Drew Brees yesterday. That was kind of a little pleasant surprise. I didn't realize we were getting Drew.
I would give him a B+. I think Amin, I wasn't impressed by. I normally like him. But
yeah, it was like a B. I thought it's entirely inoffensive. I thought it was fine.
Solid.
I'd like more of your critique on Adam Amin, Arif.
He just kept calling things the wrong thing, and Drew Brees didn't have time to correct him. So like he's the one that was like calling stuff like pop passes when it's like, well, that's a tap pass. A pop pass is like a very specific, like the quarterback has the option to run, specifically the quarterback. And it was like a couple of instances of stuff like that. Not that important, but like I would like for the terminology to be correct. It's the play-by-play guy. He's not going to get everything, but there wasn't enough time for Brees to correct him. Charles Davis was bad though. Ugh.
Oh no.
Yeah.
He's going to college football next year.
Good.
I mean, too busy calling Bulls games.
Where's Gus Johnson at nowadays? Still college?
Yeah,
he's doing the top
Ohio State
college
Indiana
games.
game.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he does the Big Ten. Usually it's Big Ten game of the week. Joel Klatt, Jenny Taft, big noon Saturday. We're off track. The squad show back on Thursday with this group. Care 11 crew on Wednesday. Ron Johnson show with Rashad Bateman tomorrow on the Ron Johnson show. That's a good get.
Ooh, that is a weird time to be talking to him.
Yeah.
Follow the pre-recorded interview prior to the game. I will confess, a guy who followed the Ron Johnson path from the Gophers to the Ravens.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's going to be a tight end. That's so cool.
He's going to be a podcaster soon. Aaron Rodgers, Adam Thielen's first guest.
Oh, thanks for watching, listening.
He hasn't like really met Aaron Rodgers yet. The radicalization that would take place.
God,
and he never will.
The meditation sessions they would have.
Yeah. Oh boy, he would. Boy, would he couch some opinions.
Oh boy.
Yeah, let's wait till JJ McCarthy's brain is developed and he gets further into adulthood before we let him share
concussions.
A couple more of those.
More sense to do.
Yeah. The first one was effective. All right. Thanks for watching, listening, commenting, and subscribing. We'll talk to you next time.